Thank you so much, Doctor. We've had a lot of conversation about this bill, and I want to address a certain portion that's on page 3, lines 15 to 26. Are you aware that this bill carves out, that section carves out the intersex children?
I'm sorry, what lines are you referring to?
So let me start out this way by saying that the premise of the bill altogether is because you want to disallow gender assignment surgery on young children. Is that correct?
So
part of the bill, a large part of the bill disallows that type of surgery. Yes or no, please?
I'm sorry, Representative. I'm not following you.
Is it a problem hearing, or you don't understand
I'm
the
not
question?
understanding your question. I mean, I think you're looking at our section here under exceptions where we're talking about abnormalities of human development and children that are born with chromosomal abnormalities or ambiguous genitalia is the correct medical term.
So we're talking about these are commonly referred to as intersex children, non-binary or non-conforming. Yes?
I think the medical term is ambiguous genitalia, yes.
Very good. Okay, so this bill specifically allows surgery on infants that are born this way.
Yeah.
Is that true?
That's right. That's correcting an abnormality.
So if the premise of the action, if the premise of the bill, if the premise of the law that you're forwarding here today on third reading is to disallow gender assignment surgery on small children, why are we carving out this section? Why are we carving out?
Because these are genetically verifiable abnormal conditions, Representative, and I think it's a inappropriate comparison and a far cry to say that when we're talking about doing surgeries on someone born with an abnormality that results in an anatomical variant, an abnormality, that's a far cry from doing surgery on somebody with completely normal anatomy.
So your characterization of this is an abnormality because it's a relatively small percentage of births.
Because in most cases it's genetically
so who decides,
verifiable.
Let me ask you this question then. Who decides which gender to assign that infant to as their infant?
I would say their DNA helps define that, Representative.
You may say that, but
no, I mean, I think medical
bill
science
language
says that.
specifically points to differences in chromosomal, going with chromosomal differences and assigning according to that. And I can definitely tell you about constituents that I have who are upset about these type of surgeries because it's not perfectly clear in some instances, like case by case, let's say, which gender the child will grow up identifying as. And so the voice that I want to bring to you today is the voice of the ones who have had their gender assigned at infancy and live a lifetime of regret and resentment because those type of surgeries are not reversible and they grew into an identity not consistent. So let me ask you this. Does your bill make an exception for surgeries performed on intersex? Can you tell us what type of surgeries this includes? Like, is it include castration, vasectomy, removal of the uterus, any of those things?
So I would just submit to you, Representative, that respectfully that's not the scope of this bill. And so we have an exception for these things here.
Bill?
There's a section here that provides exceptions for these conditions. I would just say to you that, and I've had similar conversations with other members. I think we had a very well thought out amendment offered by one of our fellow representatives dealing with this issue. And I'm going to tell you exactly what I told her, which is that I respect where you're coming from, but I don't think that's the subject of this bill. I think if you want to file a bill that basically prohibits surgery on intersex children, then that's a separate subject. That's not the subject of this bill.
And while I respectfully appreciate your kind and thoughtful response.
Because
This
we haven't
bill
really debated that issue.
One moment,
right?
please. Can I ask the question? This bill specifically allows those kinds of surgeries. So
I would say this bill specifically
could it not be
exempts
appropriate to
those.
remove that section? Just remove the section. This is section 161.703A2, and just replace it with appropriate and medically necessary procedures or treatments. The part where you're calling out the indeterminate, the androgynous or intersex, non-binary, I assert, subjects these children to gender assignment surgery when some will grow up and wish that they could have had a say once they get to the point in their life where they understand what's going on.
I think what you'll find in this area is that although there may be circumstances like what you described, the vast majority of these cases are situations where it is much easier for a child to be one gender than the other gender as they grow up. I will give you a classic example. There's a condition referred to as testicular feminization. Have you heard of that?
So
I'm guessing you haven't. So let me tell you briefly about
saying that it should be done on a case-by-case basis. I agree
here.
with.
I want to finish my
allowing this
explanation
writ
for you.
large
So
and allowing
testicular feminization is a condition where you have a child that's born as a male, but because of an abnormality genetically, they make antibodies to the sex hormones, and so their body never fully develops as a male. So they're born with a blind pouch for female anatomy, an external anatomy as a female,
there are different specific cases.
They have internal testicles,
I believe
and so the
that what you're
reality
telling me
is that if you don't do surgery to remove those testicles, then you end up with a situation where...
Members, let's not talk over one another. Let's give each other time to...
I'm just trying to finish my explanation to your question.
Let's give each other a time to finish our thoughts. Thank you.
So my point is this. My point is in those children, you talk about castration, those are testes that never descend, and if they're not removed, they will almost 100% result in testicular cancer because of the fact that the testicles were not designed to be intra-abdominal. And so that is an example of the kind of surgery you're talking about. So I don't want folks to get the impression that everybody is exactly, 50% between male and female. You're talking about a whole host of conditions. Then you get into conditions like...
Could you call it a spectrum, sir? Could you call it a spectrum?
That's right. And so, again...
So I believe what you're telling me is...
We are talking about a separate bill here, Representative.
Could I characterize what you're telling me briefly by saying these cases should be taken on individually because every child is born different?
I think they are.
Some may have... So for medical reasons, I completely understand. But if there's nothing in here that requires medical reasoning, that requires a solid medical reason for that. And so I believe it leaves it open to the discretion of doctors and parents. And so you're actually allowing gender assignment surgery in this
I hear
bill.
what you're saying, and I would just say respectfully again, if that's how you feel, I'd suggest that you file a bill that deals with that particular subject.
So I can assume the answer to whether you would take a friendly amendment on this is no.
I think the bill is complete as is, Representative.
And so you're going to carve out this section, and that's fine. I get it. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.